What if the Lakers just reached across the hallway of NBA history and stole the Warriors' defensive heartbeat in the dead of night? What if the move that flips the West isn't a blockbuster scorer, but the one guy who turns your toughest assignment into your easiest sleep, Gary Payton II in purple and gold? Read that again. Feel how it lands. The name's not loud, but the basketball is. A late-night phone call here, a cap sheet shuffled there, and suddenly you can picture it so clearly you almost hear the PA. At guard, 6'3". Number 0. Gary Payton II. Close your eyes and let the timeline bend. A son who grew up watching his father, the glove slip, on a Lakers jersey in 2003, chase a ring with a stacked roster, carry the weight of expectations and the noise of Hollywood. Now imagine the echo, 20 years later, the sequel with better lighting, the kid who carved his own identity as the league's most relentless screen navigator, the human emergency brake, landing on the biggest stage with the most cinematic franchise in the sport. That's not just a deal. That's a story the city understands in its bones. Zoom out and feel the chessboard. Lakers Warriors wasn't supposed to become the new Coastal War, but it did the 2023 series, the nightly tug-of-war over pace and space, the swings that made your stomach flip. You remember fourth quarters decided not by superstars alone, but by whoever won the microscopic details, tagging the roller on time, digging at the nail without fouling, chasing shooters through pin downs without surrendering the corner. Gary Payton II is the guy who wins those moments so often it starts to feel inevitable. You know what inevitability buys you in May. Rest for stars, for nerves. For coaches who want to call actions, not prayers. Picture the lineup graphic on a random Tuesday at Crypto.com Arena. LeBron, AD, Reeves, Rui, and Gary Payton II. That's proper geometry. GPI, I lets LeBron play safety instead of firefighter. He lets a D erase mistakes instead of living them. He stripes to the corner as a spacer, then explodes to the dunker spot the second the low man blinks. He doesn't demand touches. He demands order. And suddenly Reeves isn't wasting gas fighting point of attack hell for 35 minutes. He's living on second side reads and foul line craft. Where his game sings. You already know how this plays when the light's blind. Lakers basketball at its best feels like a heavy metal riff sitting on a symphony star gravity with ruthless little habits. That's GPI on a sentence. Navigate the first screen without dying. Peel switch at the exact step that turns a layup into a floater. Dig and recover with hands that get ball, not body. He turns a high wire act into a sidewalk. And in LA, with the weight of banners and the tempo of panic, a sidewalk might be the single most valuable thing you can build. Now, turn the camera north to the Bay and ask why the Warriors would ever even consider it. The answer is the code. Math of windows. Golden State is walking the tightrope between chasing one more high note and preparing for the next chorus. Cap pressure, timeline pressure, rotation pressure, these are not rumors. They're reality. Sometimes you trade from a strength to fix a weakness somewhere else. Sometimes you sell high on a role you can't fully maximize to buy time for a roster you need to reshape. And sometimes, yes, staring down a brutal West, you choose assets over sentiment. It's sacrilege until it's strategy, but make no mistake, the basketball fit in LA is wicked. Think about playoff matchups. Versus Denver, you want someone who sits in Jamal Murray's jersey without fouling and meets Jokic's handoffs with violent angles. Versus Dallas, you want a guard dog who tires Kyrie's legs and stops Luka from dragging your point guard into the deep end. Versus Minnesota, you want a first line that keeps Ant from living at the rim so a D's help doesn't get taxed to death. Versus Phoenix, you want the guy who remembers every cut before Booker makes it. That guy has a name, and you know it. Offensively, the fit is sneakier, and that's why it's beautiful. The Lakers don't need 20 points. They need 20 correct possessions. Reeves GPI, I two-man action, yes please. Empty corner ball screen where Reeves snakes to the elbow and GPI eye cuts behind the stunt. That's a layup or a corner three. LeBron. At the controls, AD in a snug pick and roll. GPI eyes the 45 cut from the weak side the instant the low tagger steps a heel too far. That's the kind of film that shows up on a coach's tablet with a big green check mark. He thrives in the creases. LeBron and a D create he's a punctuation mark, not a paragraph, and the intangible identity. The 2020 title team didn't just defend, they humiliated bad shots with collective conscience. The 2023 win over the Warriors wasn't just size, it was discipline at the nail, discipline in transition, and no free lunches on the glass. GPI carries that discipline like a toolkit. He walks into practice, and your drills get louder. He walks into the locker room and communication stops being a talking point and starts being a habit. He's the rare guard who can switch at possessions. Outcome without touching the ball on offense or getting a steal on defense. He just fixes it. You want history? The Lakers have a habit of collecting defensive specialists at precisely the right time and turning them into playoff legends. Think of the wings who suddenly became indispensable when it mattered. Think of how this franchise treats effort and IQ under pressure. Then stitch in the father-son thread the glove in 2004, the son in 2026. And tell me you don't feel the gravitational pull of the narrative. Los Angeles doesn't mind a little destiny. It prefers it. Whispers become footprints when the basketball logic is clean. And here, it's squeaky. The Lakers have been hungry for point-of-attack steel that doesn't break spacing, that understands big-man timing, that relieves LeBron and AD of the worst, most exhausting defensive chores without turning your offense into a 4-on-5. The Warriors have a chessboard of decisions to make, and one of the hardest truths in this league is you can't keep everything. You can keep the banner chase alive, or you can keep every comfort blanket. Those two goals don't always overlap. Imagine the first week if it actually lands. Practice footage leaks. GPI, and AD running ice. Calls on side pick and rolls like they've been doing it for years. Reeves smiling because his legs feel lighter in fourth quarters. Darvin's whiteboard with scram early and low man present, circled in thick marker, because now you actually have the personnel to live that identity every trip. And on game night, one of those quiet runs that feel like a tide. Stop, run out, foul. Stop, corner three. Stop, lob. Timeout. Opponent camera finds LeBron smirking. You've seen this movie. It wins awards. But what about the cost? That's the part you feel more than you see. Moves like this are never one for one. They're pack and stack, salary match, pick massage. They're trust falls between front offices that need the deal to feel fair in June as well as January. And yes, there's the extra spice. Do the Warriors really strengthen the rival they keep colliding with? That's exactly what makes the rumor cinematic. The best NBA plot lines live at the edge of logic and nerve. You don't get parades by avoiding risk. You get parades by choosing the right risk. There's also the health and availability question that grown-up teams ask out loud. GPI plays with violence. Clean, controlled, necessary violence. And you manage those minutes so the engine is purring in May. That's not a red flag. That's a maintenance schedule. The payoff is possessions. That disappear from your opponent's shot chart. The payoff is 2 fewer crisis rotations for a D per quarter. The payoff is LeBron's legs in minute 43 feeling like minute 36. Spend a minute with rotations, because this is where you feel the butter melt. Closing 5 versus dynamite guards. LeBron reads GPI Rui AD. Want more shooting? Swap. Rui for a sniper, and let GPI keep the faucet off at the point. Want more size? Slide in a bigger wing and let GPI hound. In crunch time, the goal isn't to be pretty. It's to be correct. GPI turns your margin of error into a little more. Air dot and yes, imagine the first trip back to the bay. The ovation. The edge. The instant chess in Steve Kerr's eyes as he weighs poaching mismatches against GPI, eyes back pocket knowledge of the Warriors' playbook DNA. That's television. That's stakes. That's the type of subplot that makes a 7-game series feel like a season unto itself. Now let me twist the knife of curiosity just a bit more. The league loves patterns, and this pattern is familiar. Big brand contender seeks defensive adult in the room. Player with ring equity and flawless playoff habits becomes available at the right price or the right moment. The move looks modest on ticker, monstrous in April. If you've been watching long enough, you know exactly how this plays out. So is it happening? Is the paperwork quietly aligning while we speak? The tone around the idea has shifted from cute to credible. The fit is too clean to ignore, the needs are too obvious to dismiss, and the story is too good for the sport to resist for long. When basketball logic, organizational timing, and narrative gravity agree, headlines have a funny way of writing themselves. You start to see the little tells, agents taking extra calls, cap sheets getting remodeled in back rooms, coaches answering questions with non-answers, and role players suddenly getting showcase minutes that look suspiciously like due diligence. That's how rumor turns into runway, first a whisper, then a pattern, then a path. Add in the mechanics that make deals real, salary matching, pick protections, the possibility of a third team to smooth money or send back a situational big, and you can picture the timeline. A check-in, a counter, a night to sleep on it, a morning where both sides realize the basketball fits better than the status quo. This isn't star-chasing theater. It's roster carpentry. If the Lakers want point-of-attack defense without sacrificing the offense's heartbeat, and the Warriors want optionality without hemorrhaging identity, the outlines of a handshake stop looking hypothetical and start looking practical. It's a rumor build, not a press release. Could Gary Payton II to the Lakers happen? Absolutely. There's real basketball sense and narrative juice. Does it require nerve, assets, and cooperation from a rival who knows exactly what he's worth? Also, absolutely. The hurdles are familiar. Price discipline from LA. How many seconds? What level of protection? Which salary ballast? And philosophical clarity from Golden State. Flexibility over familiarity. Future over comfort. There's the human layer, 2 locker rooms, continuity, the PR optics of strengthening a conference rival. My personal read. Plausible if the number lands in the Lakers' tolerance band and the Warriors decide that cap flexibility plus a mess. Rebalanced rotation beats the comfort of keeping a beloved specialist. Not inevitable, but very live if both front offices choose function over fear. What to watch next? Minutes patterns, front office language tightening, and the sudden appearance of a third-team facilitator in the rumor mill. Until a pen hits paper, it's speculation carefully reasoned, historically framed, and the exact kind that makes you check your phone twice before you go to sleep. Because deep down you know this is the kind of modest move that swings a series while everyone else stares at the marquee.